Data platform knowledge. My name is Abdulsalam El-Hilali. I'm leading the information management component of the G20 Global Land Initiative. Today you will have the side event. The side event will last 1 hour. We'll have three main speakers. And then each speaker will have maybe 12 to 15 minutes to present on data and platforms, data platform and tools. And then at the end of that, we'll have maybe 10 minutes so you can interact with the speakers. But before we start the presentation, I would like to introduce our speakers. We have Vida Haddad. She's from the FAO, based in Cairo. She's a senior program officer at the regional office for Near East and North Africa, based in Cairo, with over 20 years of experience working in the MENA regions. She's specialized in agroforestry and water management and drought also issues. So welcome to the side event. So the second speaker we have is Gilles Amadou. He's a program manager officer in the Green Accelerator of UNCCD Global Mechanism. He managed the Green initiative of the Sahel region. He's also supporting the Pan-African Agency for the Green Wall in developing or tracking the progress of this initiative. And we have also our friend Shawan Dwith, Director of a Global Restoration Initiative at WRI in Washington. This is offered to restore ecosystem at a global scale. So he will be presenting on data platform, new data set. So because we are late, so I will invite Vida to really. So you have 12 minutes to present on your data platform, how to really think about data and how data can be force driving of promoting land restorations. Over to you. So you will have 12. Yeah, well, yeah, but take it. So four. If you want to move, so you'll have 12 here. So if you can move.
Good. All right. Should I start? Yes. Okay.
Be there, you can.
Yeah, but I don't want to close the. Ah, okay. Yeah, I can move this. Excellent. Oh, okay. No, but I think I have to stand here so they can see the screen. No?
Oh, there are Swiss apps.
Ah, صح صح. Okay.
Yeah, that's
No,
really.
it's okay. Good idea. All right. Okay, it's working, right? Yeah. Okay, so until they fix the technology, although we are here to talk about the data, the importance of sharing knowledge, the technology, but this is how we should solve our problem first. Okay, so I'm Fida Haddad, the Senior Program Officer at FAO Regional Office for Near East and based in Cairo. And I'm really thankful to the group here to have this topic discussed at the COP16, focusing on the importance of data and knowledge sharing at different levels. At the level of, as we call it, the cloud, and the level of stakeholder, and the level of the communities and different experts. Okay, I'm doing my best to come in. Okay, good. Okay. Yeah, the first one. Okay, all right. While again, they want to say, okay, done. Okay, perfect. Good. Thank you. So 2 minutes already went, huh? Don't count. All right. So as I mentioned here, I want to set the scene a bit on the how we can advance the different platforms in monitoring the restoration, and how we can think outside the box to support the donors, the implementer, the decision makers, the different target audience on how to monitor the land degradation and restoration activities. So I will go through the different journey that we have in FAO regarding to the monitoring of restoration, and then provide some examples. Now, first, I'm sure that most of you are aware about the different tools that FAO is using to monitor the land restoration, starting from the geospatial information and how we started several years ago, working on more than like three years of developing the softwares, the platforms to support the decision makers and the practitioners on monitoring their action on the ground while we are using the geospatial data. So we have, as you know, 5 key areas of intervention includes the crop agriculture monitoring, climate change impact, how much restoration impact on economic, socio-economic as well for the 3, if we want to focus on the COP, land degradation neutrality, the 3 target for the land degradation neutrality. So one of these tools that we are developed and recently launched to support the restoration on landscape restoration, called the CPAL, System for Earth Observation Data, Access Processing and Analyzing for Land Monitoring CPAL tool. Oh, unfortunately, you can't see unless you move here. So if you notice the title of this platform that we call it, it's focused on observation, data access, processing, analyzing for land monitoring. So it's not just to to have the image, but understand or interpret these images more. And this platform is used for forest and land monitoring for climate actions, but now upscaled for more for the whole landscape monitoring system. Now, what is CPAL? CPAL is a very simple interface platform that you can any user can use it, regardless your capacity or knowledge or experience in using the geospatial data. You can access to this, have a high resolution imagery, develop your own scenario and what exactly you want to understand related to the land restoration and activities, and as well interpret these data to support the decision around the restoration. Now, why I'm now here flagging the UN Decade on Ecosystem Restoration? With this platform, you know that with UN Decade on Ecosystem Restoration, which already declared in 2020 to accelerate the country's progress toward restoration. And it was approved and requested to co-host by UNEP and FAO. So both organizations supporting the nations on developing and progressing toward land restoration, of which G20 initiative is part of this movement as well. Now, this UN Decade on Ecosystem Restoration has different governance structure, but the key intervention for FAO under the land monitoring and under the best practices documentation. So I will show you how we are progressing in terms of monitoring the land restoration. So under the UN Decade, as I mentioned, FAO responsible on the best practice tool or platform. And we have a task force for this part. So we identify the challenges, the practices at the project level, at the site level, using the geospatial data, but at the same time, do ground truthing to document what already implement on the ground. And this task force has like more than 300 experts and 100 plus organizations that are supporting this. Of course, you can find the publication about the first best practices launched around the land restoration that is supporting also countries to upscale their restoration activities, along with capacity building program as well. The another task force related to the monitoring. Now, later I will show you how this platform is working to document best practices. But the task force on monitoring as well worked by using CPAL and different tools under what we call it framework on ecosystem restoration. And this framework on ecosystem restoration is not meant to have a new tool to monitor the restoration, rather to compile and harmonize and synchronize all different platforms exist that is developed by different organizations, by different users, and have them hosted in one place where the decision makers, the practitioners, can use them to interpret their restoration initiatives. So this is how you can see the functionality of FIRM online, which is, as I mentioned, it's an abbreviation for Framework for Ecosystem Restoration Monitoring, where you can track the progress and have a registry where you can enter. You have a registry where you can enter your project and the dimension of your area, and then start adding the activities, the related indicators, and what you are doing on the ground. You can use it at different level before initiating the restoration activities or program, and during the implementation, and after the implementation. So you can monitor where are the hotspots to restore and what you are doing. Don't want to say right or wrong, but where are the progress and what are the key factors to influence or to advance the restoration, or to have a challenge in restoration. But the good thing is that the information has the geospatial plus on the ground. So you can see everything on that platform to disseminate the data. As I mentioned, this initiative meant to synchronize and harmonize different platforms. So, for example, we have the WOCAT platform that already documenting the best practices. We are not working alone without. So we harmonize and synchronize both platforms so you can have everything there along with other partners as well. Now, just very quick snapshot on, for example, how we can use such data. You know that we have a lot of programs and projects related to the GEF, GCF, different donors. And different donors want to know how much their dollar counted in related to the restoration and how much impact on the ground. So we initiated an exercise with the GEF program in FAO related to the GEF 6 and GEF 7 cycle. And this is just an example from Near East where we have different programs identified how much these programs or each program, how many hectares, different global data, how their local data, and we initiated a registry for different programs. So we managed to know how much in the region the restoration funded by the GEF Secretariat. And that could be an argument even for the decision makers, for the donors, that how much their dollar contributing to the restoration. It's kind of influencing the decision-making process. And here is, for example, a case from Morocco related to the Drata Filat region oasis management, where we initiated here the overview for the donor related to how much the program contributed to the target core indicators and global indicators as well. And we have Moroccan delegation here. Hello. So that program showed us in the oasis area that 60% decrease in degraded land out of monitoring by using this firm platform, and also how much contributed to the water efficiency, how much we invest by dollar to contribute to the core indicators. And this is how you can find the registry. Now, one point to add before I forget, even you enter the data into that registry, it's up to the user if they want to publish the data or want to use it just for own monitoring. It depends. So this is how at the end you can see how much committed area, how much area under restoration, and how much dollar you spent to restore the data. And this is what I already mentioned, how we can influence the decision-making process. And here we are, in the last slide, we are initiating at the regional level a call for investment for integrated development and ecosystem restoration that is focusing on restoration for development. The dollar of land restoration is for the development, for job creation, for improving the livelihood. And this initiative is based on the global initiative, and thanks to the G20 platform that supported this call for regional initiative. And it is an invitation also for tomorrow, if you are around, to join the high-level breakfast dialogue with the decision makers and donors related to the Near East region. It will be in Met 25, meeting room 25, at 9 in the morning tomorrow. So you can learn more about, it's a dialogue with the decision makers and donors related to the investment and restoration of the MENA region. Oh, yes.
Thank you very much. Thank you for the presentation.
You discount.
Yeah.
My two.
Thank you very much for the presentation. It's really great, to present on the different data platform that FAO has developed to really monitoring land restoration at different scales. So now we can move to the second presenters. Gilles will be presenting on the Green Well project on the Sahel. So Gilles will have 12 minutes. It's here. Yes, please.
Thank you very much, Fida, for that very good presentation. I didn't realize this, but we've worked very closely with the firm team in the past, with Julian Fox and Yelena Feingold. So this is great. You'll see some familiar themes in this presentation. Well, we're very glad to be inspiration. This is great. This is great. Thank you so much. Oh, you have to enable it, the editing. No?
It's not moving.
Oh, so you can use this one.
Because it duplicates, it thinks it's making it. Let's duplicate again.
No, the mouse is here.
It's here. It's over here.
Yeah, so you have
Yeah,
so you have to come on.
But you have
It's actually it's the same screen actually.
duplicating.
It's presenting the facilitator notes. Giving away your secrets. So maybe in the meantime, as the presentation is coming up, I can introduce myself and what I do at UNCCD. My name is Gilles Amadou Ouedraogo, and I'm with the Great Green Wall Accelerator. And just some context. Thank you very much. Let's go back here then. So some context is the Great Green Wall Accelerator is a unit that was created in 2021 to track the pledges that have been made from the One Planet Summit in January 2021 to date on the Great Green Wall Initiative specifically. So here I will present what we've been able to do through the Great Green Wall Observatory that came from the Great Green Wall Accelerator, and with the support of the government of Austria, and through the implementation of a partner that's here and represented today, Development Gateway. So if you have very technical questions, I will direct you in their direction. Yeah. Yeah. So everyone saw this slide already. This is the reason why we're all here today. Land is extremely important, and it is the one thing that connects all humans. The clothes on your back today, the food that you ate this morning, the coffee that you had, all of it came from land. And because of that reason, we must take care of it, we must nurture it, and we must basically water it so we can keep and sustain our livelihoods and grow in a very sustainable manner. That being said, that's what the Great Green Wall Initiative is about, right? Making sure we have the largest nature-based solution on the planet by 2030. What does that mean? It means conserving the livelihoods in the Sahel region, and now it's expanding to the Southern Africa region as well as the MENA region in Northern Africa. But really implementing these sustainable land management initiatives and practices so that we're able to have some just sustainable growth and not endangering the environment and growing all together and managing water resources very, very well as well. So this is the vein and the philosophy behind the Great Green Wall. Now I'm going to get into why we're here today. We analyzed the progress of the Great Green Wall Initiative and established that there are fundamental issues. From a report that was published in 2020, it was revealed that monitoring was an issue. We weren't always sure how much funding was available for the countries to invest in the Great Green Wall Initiative. We weren't always sure how that funding was being invested. We weren't always sure how many hectares of land were restored in the process. And so, that being said, we proposed a solution, that solution being a framework to analyze how much we are getting out of the Great Green Wall Initiative. So how many jobs are being created? How many green jobs are being created in the process? We've established targets. So the target for the entire Great Green Wall area, for the Sahel specifically, is 10 million. How many hectares are being restored? For the Sahel, again, the target is 100 million hectares in 11 countries. And this framework is, if you want, the blueprint for how we're measuring that progress. So the first thing we did was establish this. We got the countries together and they agreed on the framework. They agreed on the indicators that needed to be retained so that we can basically you have a tracking system through the format of a platform. And that platform is the Great Green Wall Observatory, which itself has two components. A back-end component, which is project reporting, where you can enter every single Great Green Wall project attached to a country, attached to a pillar, and attached to the different themes that these projects emanate. So following on, this is the map that we have right now, mapping the different pillars and the different areas of the Great Green Wall. So what you'll notice, and these are commitments and declarations coming from and validated from the donors themselves. So there's a task force that's in place through the Great Green Wall Accelerator, where they're able to tell us these are the Great Green Wall projects that we've invested in that fall under the One Planet Summit. So what you see here are all Great Green Wall projects in different areas. Except that white dot over there. That dot in the ocean, I think the coordinates are 0, 0, and it's a mistake. So you can ignore that outlier. Thank you. And yeah, this is an example for one specific project. We're looking at a few data sources. It's a project that we implemented in collaboration with the Global Shea Alliance, who are actually here at COP and have an event in a few days, I believe. And this was implemented in Mali and Burkina Faso. And we're able to track the number of hectares that were restored during this project. It's 160 exactly. And yeah, what our approach is making sure that not only are we able to track that progress in terms of hectares, but we really also want to make sure that we're using inclusive methodologies and inclusive basically dynamics to make sure that we're using data and platforms that already existed in the past. We're not reinventing the wheel. We're integrating solutions from past systems and past solutions as well. These are the donors and the the funders that agreed to pledge to the One Planet Summit. So everything that's being done right now is basically to make sure that we're able to track their funding and their dynamics in their process for the Great Green Wall. Yesterday there was a meeting with these donors and with the ministers of the different countries who were able to announce to us what their plans are from now to 2030, and and the ministers were able to also express what the needs were in terms of investments for the Great Green Wall. The biggest takeaway from what they were saying is that we're not always able to see where the money is going, and the national agencies are not always involved in the implementation of those projects. So this is something that we really try to implement at the local level, national coordination, and a link with regional coordination as well. So we're able to get the results that we need here. The numbers that you see are the global targets for the Great Green Wall Initiative. On another page, you have the specific targets for the World Bank. If I'm not mistaken, it's 9.5 million hectares restored through all of their projects. And the progress that they've made right now through the projects that we have in the platform since 2022 is 606,000 hectares in restoration currently. So we're very proud of the process that we've created for the collection of this data. One gap that I'm happy to announce here, actually, because perhaps the fruit of another collaboration will allow us to fill this gap, is in tons of hectares sequestered. That's something that we're not necessarily able, we don't have the best methodology to calculate or estimate that right now. And finding a good methodology is very important, and that's basically in our planning for the next 3 years. The government of Austria was satisfied with the result of the project, and they've agreed to continue funding not only this platform, but the project on the ground, the pilot project on the ground that was ongoing. That being said, we're really happy with this development, and yeah, we'll see how that goes in the next 3 years. Here you have a very brief overview of the One Planet Summit pledges and where we are right now. It says 100%, but I must emphasize that the data that's in the platform right now is not only the actual commitments, but also the planned commitments from the countries. So this is what they're hoping to do. And you'll see that the European Union was in the other slide here. Their data is being validated as we speak. So I've taken it out for now, but everything that you see right now has been validated by the donors. So this is what we've been doing through the accelerator, and we are open to collaboration. One detail I forgot to mention is also that we also have WOCAT practices and approaches on the platform divided by country. So when you explore the map, you're able to access different WOCAT solutions as well. And here I'm talking about the future. In the next 3 years, we have been given permission by the government of Austria to continue exploring the water availability issues in the Sahel. There can be no Great Green Wall if we do not integrate water solutions, sustainable water solutions, to the implementation of the initiative. And that being said, we're looking at transboundary water dynamics throughout the region. And hopefully during this COP, we'll have a meeting with some important actors in Africa on transboundary water resources. And it's very important that we are able to exploit this in a sustainable manner that benefits not only communities, but also that benefits the environmental priorities and the Great Green Wall priorities in terms of agroecological initiatives and the implementation. So looking at this region, exploring how we can best use the water basins at the surface level, but especially at the ground level, is really important. So action plans will be put into place, and we'll be able to roll these out in the second phase of this project coming out right now. And here you basically have the importance, the level of importance for the water the transboundary water resources in each country. Guinea is currently the one with the most, with 4. It has the Niger River Basin, the Gambia River Basin, the Mano River Basin, and I'm forgetting one right now. I can't remember which one. But it's dubbed basically the water tower of Africa because it has so many water resources, and we are now in discussions for Guinea to join the Great Green Wall Initiative and pilot this effort of providing advice and expertise on water resources. Everything you see in red, that's underlined, is a bit the different aquifers or the water basin authorities that will be invited to contribute to the Great Green Wall Initiative from now on. So I think that's it. That's my presentation. Hopefully I didn't go too long, and thank you so much for your patience. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Shid, for the great presentation. So now we can move to the last presentation on data set and platforms from the Abdurai.
Thank you so much.
Duplicate or something. Okay, you can look over there. If you want, you can. It's over there. It's coming.
Great. Good morning. My name is Sean DeWitt from the World Resources Institute. Like each of you, we love restoration and we love data. Neither of which is easy, right? That's why I love this conference, because we all work in the land sector. We're not afraid of hard things. So in the presentation today, I just wanted to share with you some of the data innovations that we're most excited about right now, and also how we're using some of that data, some of the platforms we're using to further our planning efforts, to further project monitoring and verification, but also to look at how we're monitoring portfolios of projects and the landscapes within which they're working. So first, to talk a little bit about some of the groundbreaking open AI data that we're working on. First, for the past 2 years, we've been collaborating with Meta and they're quite unique in that they have wall-to-wall Maxar imagery. So they have 1 meter resolution data for the entire planet. They also have the computing horsepower to be able to process that much data, which none of us have. And they have a great AI team who we've been collaborating with. And what we've done here is we've taken an AI algorithm that originally was created by Tesla, actually, and open source by Tesla, modified by the medical field to try to find cancer cells in CT scans better. So our team said, well, if you're looking for abnormalities in CT scans, why can't we look at a landscape and find abnormalities in the landscape, which could be trees, shrubs, bushes, other things. So using and adapting that foundational model, we now have a model that looks at tree height. So it not only looks at where are the trees and the bushes and the shrubs, but it also looks at the shadows that are cast given the time of day that the image was taken, to understand the relative height of each of those trees as well for the entire planet. So this is, and the thing we like about our partnership with Meta is not only their unique capabilities, but also they're committed to open data. So not only is the data from this open source, but also the foundational model that created all of this is also open source and available to each of you. So we have links here to the blogs and the webinar on this. Happy to share more about this. What this is allowing us to do is 3 things we weren't able to do before. One is we're able to distinguish from short woody crops and other trees. So we can disaggregate things like coffee and cocoa from other types of tree-based systems of forests. The second thing is we can measure the relative height measurements of those planted trees. Why is height important? Well, that can start to allow us to estimate the carbon sequestration of those trees, because we not only know where they are, but we know how tall they are. So we can start to make some volumetric assumptions on where those trees are to be able to understand the carbon sequestration of those trees. And then lastly, we can map the baby trees. We can see, after 8 months, we can start to see trees. We can even see planting holes that people have dug to be able to plant trees. So we're just able to see things that we've just never been able to see before in human history, which we're really, really excited about. So what we're doing now is taking that tree height data and creating another open source algorithm that looks at the tree count. So based on what we're seeing in here, can we count the number of trees that exist within certain polygons? So here again, we're partnering with Meta and the University of Florida to create this next open algorithm. And what this is allowing us to do is when we have polygons and boundaries for where projects are, we take these 18 million high resolution images and process all of that and understand like what is the tree count within that boundary. And so here's an example from one of our, we're investing in about 200 projects in Africa right now. One of them is this through TerraFund, this champion called the Albertine Rift Conservation Society. And this is in Rwanda, and you can start to see that not only does it pick up the boundary plantings, the sparse agroforestry trees, but it also looks at the height. So the darker colored trees are the shorter trees, the lighter colored trees are the taller trees. So we really get a sense of where is every single tree in these plots and how tall is that tree. So pretty cool data. We're really excited about it, but how do we use it, right? And so we're trying to use it in 3 ways, again, around planning, project monitoring, and then portfolio and landscape monitoring. So first, just on planning, what we realize is that with restoration, it's really important to know where to go. We need a lot of investment. We need to make sure we're investing in the right areas. So where is restoration most important? What you see here is an example map from the Great Rift Valley in Kenya. And my colleague Caroline is here, who manages the landscape work here in the Great Rift Valley of Kenya. And she is pulling together a multi-stakeholder platform of lots of folks that are already doing restoration, that want to do more restoration, that want to invest in restoration, to understand like where should we go next? And how do we concentrate restoration? Because the thing is, this landscape, it's 10 million hectares. It's a big area. So we could fund 100, 200, 300 projects. But if we're not strategic about where those projects go, we're not going to see landscape level impacts. We're going to see good projects. But are we going to see the water tables rise? Are we going to see the sedimentation in the rivers reduce? No one individual project can do that. So that's why this planning is so important. We now have 28 data layers going onto this platform. We have an open source platform that we have called Map Builder that is available to folks. What Map Builder does is it takes our baseline Global Forest Watch data from WRI, and it allows you to put your own local data layers on top of that. So here we've added 28 different layers from the Rift Valley in Kenya to be able to see, like from a socioeconomic perspective, from a water perspective, from a biomass perspective, from a degradation perspective, where should restoration be targeted next? So these are some of the ways that we're trying to innovate on the planning side, and happy to connect folks that would be interested in using this kind of map builder approach with the Map Builder tool. But then we get into project monitoring, and this is where we're obsessed with this initial set of indicators. This is not everything. We've kind of had a walk before you run approach to our indicators, where we are working with our projects to track the number of trees, the number of jobs, the financial performance of the institution doing the restoration, the number of hectares under restoration, and the livelihoods that are benefited from the restoration. And we're kind of obsessed about polygons. Sounds kind of boring, right? Why be obsessed with polygons? Life is short. But if you don't know where to look, you're always going to be wrong. And so finding the boundaries of where you're working is one of the most important things, and one of the most overlooked things. Because again, if you don't look in the right place, you're always going to be wrong. And so the thing is, it's hard. It's actually way harder. We knew it was going to be hard. It's even harder than we thought to get really good boundaries. And we have 2 ways that we're doing it now with the projects we're working with in the African context. One is in kind of this distributed site example. What I mean by distributed is that there's a few trees that are going on to a relatively small site. So maybe it's a boundary planting for windbreaks. Maybe it's a few trees in an agroforestry system. Maybe it's a few seedlings, that are planted, for shade trees. And so what we do in this case is we ask for a GPS center point. Now we only do this for plots that are less than 3 hectares in size, and then we ask for some metadata. How big is this plot? And then what we do based on how big that is, knowing the metadata, we draw a polygon around that GPS center point. So again, we only do this with agroforestry systems with relatively sparse trees, and when we know the radius and it's a relatively small site. The other way we do it is when there's more of a concentration of trees, we ask that they actually walk the boundary of the polygon to get a sense of this. This is for anything over 3 hectares. We get a better sense, and you see the polygon can be a bit more accurate in this way. But the combination of these two, we've found to be the balance between a practical, like you can actually do it way with the agroforestry system, and then here, something where we can be quite accurate. So bringing those two methods together, we then we have a mobile app that was created, and I love that it was created by one of our investees. So this mobile app was created by Wells for Zoe in Malawi, who does restoration. It's called the Flority app. The Flority app will allow you to get these kind of polygons to demarcate your boundary. Those are then uploaded into our TerraMatch platform. TerraMatch is our web-based platform that we use. And what we do is we then do a quality check of these boundaries. First, we have an automated script that runs and says, is this in the district that they said it was in? Are there any overlapping boundaries? Are there any open boundaries that weren't a closed polygon? So this automated script catches probably 70% of the errors. Then we have a team that actually works together with the folks that are collecting the boundaries, and we have a Zendesk help desk. We have trainings just to say how much we're investing in this process of collecting polygons. Because again, if you don't know where to look, you're always going to be wrong. So just can't say enough how important this is and worthy of investment. Now with this, we can start to do some early verification of trees that are growing. Again, we're noticing that at about 8 months is when we can start to see the seedlings grow. And this we hope, because in our TerraMatch system, every 6 months we're getting reports from the field of how many trees are growing. We're then checking that with this geospatial verification system to say, do we see where those trees are? Are we able to see those through this kind of imagery? We also have created an artificial intelligence algorithm that can take the sites of a project. Now, any one project has multiple sites, on average 120 sites. This project in Madagascar has 1,244 sites, right? One project. And so that's not easy to manage, but we have those polygons and we have this data. So what this AI algorithm does is you click a button, and in 2 minutes, it produces a PDF report that gives you a page report for every single one of those 1,244 plots and a summary of how that's all working. So we're able to allow our portfolios to, and these champions who before really struggled to articulate how things are going, with a click of a button now can actually produce this automated report that will say, like, here's how it's going. Exactly, site by site, and here's the summary of it. So we're really excited about that. And it'll give you these summary statistics, things like the tree density per hectare. It'll give you all the images. So just really, really exciting new capabilities. Lastly, so that's how we're looking at projects, but then there are many projects. Like I said, we're funding 200 projects in Africa alone right now. So how do we look at the portfolio and the broader landscape monitoring? Here again, we have our TerraMatch platform, again, an open source platform, where these kind of dashboards are coming together. And so with these dashboards, we're trying to see how we can not only monitor the site level, but you saw like projects on average have about 120 sites, to then monitor the portfolio, to then monitor the landscape, to then monitor national, regional, and global progress, and allow you to toggle on these dashboards to see any level of progress that you're interested in. Just some examples. I drew a boundary here on the left that you see outside of Nairobi in the Rift Valley of Kenya. What the system will tell you is how many trees are planted, how many hectares are under restoration, how many jobs are created, and then it gives you some summary things like, here are the top 5 projects with the most planted trees. International Tree Foundation, Women in Water, Natural Resources Conservation, etc. It will show you, based on the projects that are active there, how many are working on natural forests versus agroforestry versus riparian, woodlots, etc. It'll tell you how many jobs. You see mostly part-time jobs, given its restoration. Disaggregate those jobs by gender, by youth and non-youth. So in here again, you can really draw whatever polygon you want for your summary area. Here I just have this area on the left, and it will give you these kind of statistics. So we're hoping that with this kind of data, we can mobilize more resources behind restoration. That's the whole point, right? But we realize that to do this at scale, we need these kind of artificial intelligence and other kinds of tools. It's very, very hard to have people going out to the field to measure all of these things. Like, for example, if we go from the 200 projects we're funding now to the 2,000 projects we're likely to fund in the next few years, that's 240,000 planting sites. The only way to do that is with technology. So lastly, just a few points. I think the critical concepts in MRV from our perspective at WRI, transparency has never been more important, but it's also never been more doable. Open data, we have an absolute commitment to open data. This data is too important to be proprietary. These foundational models we think are also really important, these open foundational models that can allow us to collaboratively improve the models that are out there. We need better proxies for vegetation and how they affect related impacts like water quality, water regulation, biodiversity corridors, and others. Boundaries and polygons, we need them or we're going to be wrong. And then collaboration. Now, let's all work together to bring these solutions to life. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you very much for the presentation, Narsu, on how we can use geospatial technologies and Earth observation to monitor landscapes. So now we can open the floor for questions. We have 5 minutes. So I will start with you. Can you please introduce yourself?
Assalamu alaikum. My name is Engineer Majid from Saudi Green Building in Group. Thank you for this informative presentation. Okay. Thank you for your presentation. And I just want to point out on the last slide, the conclusion, number 2, open data. So you mentioned it's too important to keep proprietary, and the data is the raw material for the artificial intelligence. And you said we need the artificial intelligence to accelerate our work and also to make it more easier. So I just want to point out in the data, there is a governance of data. And people, they don't pay attention for the governance of data as well. They pay attention for the analytics of data or gathering of data or storage of data. Governance of data is based on 191 criteria. So I'm not sure if these criteria is implemented to have the data to be, governed. And if it's governed, then it can be used for the artificial intelligence. So if your data is not okay, so your AI is not okay, as simple as that. So what is the mechanism to be sure that your data is governed in order to implement the 191 criteria that you are sure that your data is governed? Thank you.
Do you want to take the question?
Yes, governance is a very important topic, and forgive me, I'm not familiar with the 191 principle, but would love to discuss and learn more. But we believe that with transparency in the way that the model is created and with transparency in the data, that keeping things open and transparent and in the public domain is the right approach. Again, would love to discuss further in terms of the 191 principles. I'm not as familiar, but would love to discuss with you.
Okay, last time.
You see, everybody now is talking about the ESG. ESG is environment, social, governance. So there is a governance for social and there is governance for environment. And in the environment sector, there is a lot of data regarding the weather, regarding the sand, regarding the soil, regarding the seeds, and so on. These data has to be governed. Before that, it has to be collected, stored, and analyzed. But to come to the last point for data governors, that's very important to generate the ESG report. Now, the ESG report that has been generated by consulting firms, Big Four or whatsoever, I doubt if that is accurately is governed. And then I doubt if that ESG report is correct. Thank you.
Good point.
Thank you very much. I think we have to move to a second questions. Go ahead, please.
Voilà. je vous ai suivi avec attention. Je suis Mohamed Shams Din Touré de la République de Guinée.
Go.
Ok. Maintenant, je vous ai bien suivi quand vous avez présenté la carte, surtout mon pays. Je sais que mon pays, on l'appelle Château de l'Afrique de l'Ouest. Mais nous sommes confrontés aussi nous sommes à la porte de la sécheresse, c'est-à-dire le pays du Sahel. J'ai regardé l'objectif du Global G20. L'objectif 3 m'a beaucoup marqué, le reboisement. Mais je suggère au G20 s'ils peuvent mettre ça dans leur ambition. Parce que nous, on avait fait antérieurement un arbre planté, un enfant né, un arbre planté. Un mariage, un arbre planté, et le couple s'occupe de l'arbre. Je pense que ça peut aussi aider à mettre fin à la dégradation des terres. Donc, c'était un peu ça ma remarque, et je vous suis avec attention, malgré que c'est l'anglais, je vous suis aussi. Merci.
Merci beaucoup. Gilles, do you want to?
French or English?
French. English, you can.
Merci beaucoup pour la remarque. C'est entendu. Je ne connaissais pas cette politique par rapport à l'enfant né et l'arbre planté, mais c'est très intéressant. Et je tiens à préciser que pour ce qui est de la Grande Muraille Verte, je sais que vous avez parlé du G20 et je suis sûr qu'ils ont compris la remarque. La Guinée a exprimé l'intérêt de rejoindre la Grande Muraille Verte à cause de ce que vous avez cité justement. Donc, je sais que les discussions sont en cours et d'ici la fin de l'année, peut-être qu'on aura de bonnes nouvelles. I'll just say it in English as well, so everyone is covered. He was talking about an initiative that exists in Guinea about planting trees at the family level. So for every child that is born, a tree is planted. For every marriage that is celebrated, a tree is planted and the couple takes care of it. So this is one way that they can face desertification and drought. And he mentioned the third objective of the G20 initiative. And I basically invited them to not only continue their work, but also know that the Guinea, at an official level, has expressed interest in joining the Great Green Wall Initiative, and there are currently some talks in motion. So hopefully something will happen soon. Yeah.
Okay, merci beaucoup, Gilles. Can move to, so yeah, quickly.
Thank you very much. Thank you, فداء. لا صوتي عالي بس أنا بحاول أوطيه حتى ما يكون كتير عالي. Okay. Thank you very much, Fida, and all panelists. By the way, my name is Hala Murad. I'm from Jordan. Actually, I'm working in the Bean Association for Environmental Development. It's one of organization work in restoration of forest land in Jordan, and we work to also to put some of ideas in social concepts. Through how we can really save the forest through the social activity, through the local communities, and how we can more engage people to know more about what the benefits from the forest. But my question is, we have a lot, attend several conferences about land saving and restoration, and many of platforms of data actually created by different UN agencies or civil society or global networks. And my question is how these networks maybe work together. This is the first one. The second one, Fida, if you have in your platform of your data collection methodology, you have some of training courses for the civil societies, actual in the ground, actual in the grassroots, to be more engaged with your work, to help you to collect data or to maybe mentoring and evaluating that. Thank you very much.
Vida, can you take the question again?
Yes, okay. Thank you for this question. In fact, as I mentioned from the beginning in my presentation, this platform is not a standalone platform. It's the commitment toward the UN Decade on Ecosystem Restoration, which is a movement for the whole organization, for the whole world. So the FIRM platform established or created in collaboration with 300 experts, 100 organizations, means that all different platforms are synchronized with this. So even with the data, with the indicators collected, all incorporated with this. Now, we, of course, as I mentioned, we have this angle of where the best practices can be documented through the project space or through the users. So we created training programs, we have e-learning courses, and whenever we are working with the countries, we'll support them to use this such platform. It's not a unique, it's not a standalone, because all what my colleagues presented already synchronized with this platform. We are already WRI part of it. The Sahel is one of the examples. So yeah, I mean, this is for the UN Decade on Ecosystem Restoration, which meant to collect the efforts and harmonize the different data platforms to come up with the
Thank you, Vida. So now we can go to the last questions, but you can follow up with the speakers after, please.
Well, thank you very much. I congratulate all the panelists for the excellent presentation. Well, my question is, one most important actors in the field is human, the man. How you deal with the man in this plot, or the man is the most actor in conservation or in degradation of any wildlife or management or ecosystem. How you deal with the man? Do you consider the importance of the man, knowing that in Africa the growth of the population is very, very high, and we need more land, more food, and how you deal with all this? Thank you.
Who want to handle the questions? Go ahead.
I think, is this on right? Yes. Thank you very much for the question. I think it's very, very on point. That's why all of this is important. Because of the challenge of resources, because of the competition for the use of all of these different resources, we need to be able to model, and we need to be able to plan. We need to be able to model, and we need to be able to plan. And I'm amazed at what my colleagues have presented, and every tool here is useful in my opinion. And I'll be in touch also for how we can collaborate. But the bottom line is really planning and modeling so that we can plan the future together on how we sustainably use the resources at our disposal.
Thank you very much. So last question. Do you want to comment?
Just one add is that the key to restore the land, the key to upscale the best practices is to document and to work with the grassroots. And this is what firm try to collect for the UN Decade, is like your restoration, what are the key factors to success or to failure based on different levels, including the community. So it's part of it as well.
Yeah. So last question, 30 seconds, please.
Good morning. First of all, I would like to thank all the panelists for the wonderful presentation. My question specifically is to presenter number 2. My question is, like you had emphasized duly on safe food and safe environment. So what is your take on genetically modified organism varieties which we're introducing in the food system? Because actually it is impacting our land also by genetic erosion, sir. We are not even having proper laws on it, and the countries are differing on this aspect.
So Gilles, do you want to?
That's a very...
And 10 seconds, please. 10 seconds, because
I think this is a question that deserves 2 hours.
So, and then I think we have, please follow with him, after, because we have to stop here.
Can tell her the FAO key messages for this COP related to the agri-food system and the food safety. And you can follow and check there is a platform called Hand in Hand, where we are trying to work with the countries, indicating, as you mentioned, especially in the area under crisis, that impacted and polluted the soil as well, which impact, of course, the food.